'Cause monster madness.
You knew we had to do Fright Night eventually. Well, even though we're going with the whole campy thing, this is actually a pretty good movie that I recommend. Give it a watch.
Fright Night. In the 80s, the vampire genre needed some new life. The old vampire films were usually period pieces, but now came time to modernize it. Sure, there is The Lost Boys, amongst others, but Fright Night is a perfect example because of how it honors the classic vampire films, but also does something new. It looks back as well as forward. It's about a suburban kid named Charlie who keeps a close eye on his new next-door neighbor, whom he suspects to be a vampire.
Vampire! Sure, and I'm Dirty Harry. Now let me tell you something, kid.
Nobody believes him, and it just so happens he's a big fan of horror movies, so naturally everyone thinks it's an overactive imagination. There's a TV show he likes to watch called Fright Night. It's a monster movie marathon hosted by a Peter Cushing impersonator named Peter Vincent. Without anyone else to turn to, Charlie approaches Peter to help him fight the vampires. But Peter doesn't believe him either. After all, he's just a movie host, not a real vampire hunter. But that doesn't stop him from taking the kid's money and using some false holy water. He's just an asshole. But when things get serious, Charlie has to help Peter find his faith and fight the vampires for real. It's a loving tribute to the genre. It stays true to all the classic vampire myths. They don't light crosses, they don't cast a reflection, and so on. All the way through, it's full of little references to the Universal and Hammer films. There's lots of cool posters in the background. And this is real random, but on the TV they show a clip from Octoman. That same movie got some airplay in Gremlins 2 when the Al Lewis impersonator, Grandpa Fred, is showing it on his horror program. Except he called it Attack of the Octopus People.
The Attack of the Octopus People. That's tonight's movie, and boy, is it scary. Oh.
Only in the final scenes does Fright Night become a special effects movie, and man is it great. Werewolves, scary vampire bats, impalings, melting flesh, transformations, all the good stuff. It's scary, but there's a certain kind of innocence and youth to the whole thing. It reminds you of when you were a kid watching late night TV, looking out the window through binoculars in fear that there's something out there, reading R.L. Stine books, and watching Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon. Fright Night takes you back. It's a fun movie. It may not be a major classic, but for any horror fan, it's well worth your time.